栄えある2024ミス日本グランプリはエントリーナンバー1番椎野カロリーナさんです。
おめでとうございます。
Hey everybody, Erico here. So let's talk about this piece of news that kind of passed by, and then was sort of swept under the rug, and now nobody is really talking about it. But this happened a whole week and a half ago, I think, where we have this Miss Japanese beauty pageant that happens every year, and throughout the years there have been different women that have won because of their personality, because of the charity work, because of their image, as well as the beauty that is on the inside and the outside. And so this year they had a 2024 winner, and it was a Ukrainian woman, and there was huge reaction to this on Japanese social media. I saw all of it happen, and while it was happening and going down, I sat back and I watched it because I didn't know if I actually want to talk about this or not, because it just felt like something where I'm like, maybe I should just stay in my lane not really talk about it. But then I'm like, doing commentary on this is actually my lane, so I was like, maybe I'll wait and see like how all of it unfolds. But then I was like, no, I'm not gonna talk about it. But what happened was I was seeing all of the different opinions and how the opinions added into like this big hypocrisy for me, because there have been different situations that have happened where in the past we've had this pageant and there's been a problem with who is Japanese enough, and it always was directed toward women that actually were of Japanese lineage and actually had a Japanese parent. They might not have been full-blooded Japanese, but technically they still were Japanese, because why? They had a Japanese parent. Now the conversation was on this woman who entered this pageant, and she's supposed to be the face of Japan and is the winner, and the judges chose her. And she, from her background, came to Japan when she was 5 years old. And she lived in Japan all throughout that time. She came to Japan because her mother married a Japanese man. So she is not of Japanese lineage at all. She was already born to a Ukrainian woman and man. And then obviously they broke up. Her mother remarried this Japanese man. They came to Japan. She lived in Japan ever since. She told her origin story about how she was in school, and she felt very Japanese on the inside, even though she was not Japanese on the outside. And so this sparked a lot of debate, because people were like, she not even half. Wait a minute. People were like, okay, here's Miss Japan Universe. People like, hold on a second. She not even half East Asian. She not East Asian at all. What is going on here? So I was with everybody else. I'll be honest with you. I was looking and I'm just like, why? What is this supposed to signify? So then here comes all the people in the comments. Well, she is Japanese. You only gotta be Japanese by nationality.
I am very grateful for your support of our lives and my studies.
Lisa is taking regular classes in Japanese with the help of her classmates. She tackles kanji characters in extra school assignments to help improve her Japanese. Studying in a foreign language is hard, but she motivates herself.
She qualified. She signed up. They let her come in. She won. She should have won. And she speaks Japanese, and she's culturally Japanese. There's been a whole waterworks of people having tears coming out talking about, I was born in Japan. I speak Japanese. I'm Japanese. I should be accepted by Japanese people. There is a difference between being Japanese by lineage, meaning there's Japanese blood in you, and being Japanese as far as being culturally Japanese or by nationality because you might have been born there or might have been raised there. These things are two different things. So if you are Japanese by culture because you grew up in Japan and that's what you know, you are Japanese when it comes to the culture and being raised in it. You are not Japanese when it comes to your phenotype and what you look like. You will never be Japanese. I don't care how much Japanese you speak. I don't care if you were born there. I don't care if you never saw outside of Japan. If you look like a gaijin, if you look like a foreigner, you are going to be seen as such. And it's something that you should accept. It is not about you feeling like that you have some type of privilege to be involved in everything Japanese or be in a space that Japanese people have created just because you speak Japanese well. That's you basically overstepping your boundary and feeling like you are entitled to something. So this whole situation, when I saw the situation, I was like, this doesn't make me feel good. When I saw them giving her the crown and she was crying and talking, I'm like, something's not right about this situation. What is going on here? I feel like I am in the Twilight Zone. I feel like I'm in the damn sunken place at this point. So, you know, people continue to come out and support her. There was this big debate. I saw that Fung Brothers had done a video on it as well. There was a big debate there and people saying, well, she's not ethnically Japanese, but still, you know, she is Japanese. Simply because she was born and raised there and it is what it is and you all should just accept it. And she seems like such a nice woman and they picked her. She didn't pick herself, they picked her. She is innocent in all of this. So I said, okay. I was seeing all of it happen. I'm like, I'm going to keep my opinion to myself. I'm going to sit and watch all of this happen. Just look. Continue to look. She hadn't even had that crown a couple months. And mind you, before I get to this, she's on shows telling the host to their face that she was lying in some of her forms that she signed in her profile to even be in the pageant. She lied and said that she spoke all these different languages, Russian and all these different languages. Come to find out she lied and she only spoke Japanese and they thought that was cute. I said, red flag number one. So we get to a couple months later, not even that. Come to find out she was running around with a married man. A married man that is a popular surgeon. He went to school for it, brain surgeon, but he's known on social media as the muscle doctor. He is known for having a good physique and for being very good at what he does. He's also known for having a wife and a child. So when the scandal broke, pictures all over the tabloids, she came out and lied to everybody's face and said that she didn't know that the man was married. He came out too. I don't know if they forced him. I don't know if she called the Yakuza on him and he woke up one morning, they were outside of his door and told him, you better lie and say that she didn't know that you were a married man or what. He came out and also said, well, I didn't tell her. People were still like, okay, we don't let this snowflake into our space, our sacred space. We allowed you to be in the spotlight and have the crown. And now come to find out, you're not actually a beautiful snowflake. You're dirty snow in the street that the traffic done run all over. So after this, people were like, okay, this is still bad. You know, his poor wife, his child, people were digging up all this information. He's putting up apologies. She's apologizing. Then finally, I don't know if the guilt came around or what, if the wife came and was like, I'm about to get you in the street or what, but she finally came out and she was like, oh, I'm gonna be honest, I knew he was married. We figured that. Mind you, there's still people, I'm telling you, that the European persuasion and that privilege, comes along there saying, well, that's normal. Everybody in Japan has affairs. It's a Japanese thing to do. She had an affair. An affair is an affair. I don't care what race is doing it. It was wrong. She lied. And it gets better. This is not even the icing on the cake of the whole thing, you guys. Come to find out, this muscle doctor was actually on the board for the pageant. So she was hopping up and down on this doctor, yeah, I'm gonna say that, into this pageant, knowing that there was a chance that she was going to win. Simply because she's in a space that she really shouldn't be in. She's in a space where she's a commodity. She's going to stand out. Why? Because none of the other girls there look like her. She doesn't have any Japanese blood. She has no East Asian lineage in her. So you can't tell me that this girl didn't enter this pageant and didn't know there was a chance that she was going to win. Oh, she knew it. She's a very good actress. I'll give you that. So I'm sitting here and I'm looking at the people that were saying she's such a good person. Those people were quiet when all this came out. She's not a good person. She's not a good person because she took it upon herself to enter into a pageant, into a space where she didn't need to be. She was already a model. She's already making a name for herself. She could have gone into any other space. It would have accepted her in entertainment. I mean, there are foreigners in Japanese entertainment. She speaks Japanese well. She didn't need to be in this pageant. There are little Japanese girls that look at this pageant that want to see the face of Japan and also get some type of motivation to one day say, well, maybe I can be in this pageant too. Do you think a little Japanese girl looking at her is going to feel that? They're going to look and see a foreigner. And they'll be like, okay, she's like a foreigner like in all those other ads and all those other magazine model spreads that we see, but what about the girl that actually looks like me? And we could have given her a break had she even just been mixed. Even if she had just had, she didn't have to be mixed with Japanese. It could have been, mixed with Korean or Chinese or any type of East Asian lineage bloodline. There are so many entertainers in Japan that are not Japanese, but at least are half Asian that were born and raised in Japan. We have, Crystal K, who's, an icon, been an icon since the 90s, who is half Korean from a Korean mother that's ethnically Japanese. And I consider her a Japanese artist. She still looks Asian, still of Asian descent. I feel like that this woman entering into this situation took the conversation away from another conversation that really needed to be had, which was mixed and multicultural people in Japan having a space among Japanese people. This is something that has been talked about and needs to continue to be talked about. We don't need to be having a conversation about people who look European in Japanese spaces, because there's already a space made for them. Why? Because they are the desired. They are the ones that are fantasized about more so than anybody else or any other foreigner. She already had a place. I felt like that she played in Japan's face. I felt like that she was being manipulative. She's not a good person. And that was why when I saw all of this happen, it didn't sit well with me. It was something about the situation where I was like even just looking past her not being Japanese, it was something about the situation. It felt manipulative to me. And that's why at first I'm I'm gonna leave this situation alone. Because it's something's not right about all of that. And to see all of the beautiful Japanese women that were behind her, that you could tell worked hard. And for her to be standing in front of them just yeah, this is mine. Oh my God, I did it. I really did it. It's just and then they're gonna leave the spot vacant. She renounced her own title as Miss Japan she stepped down. They should have taken it away from her once again. That European persuasion privilege. They need to go back, and all those girls, all those women that worked hard need to have another shot at that. It shouldn't be vacant. That's not right. I don't think it's fair. Also, let's talk about the hypocrisy of men versus women in affairs when it comes to how the Japanese public talks and perceives it and who gets the most backlash. I don't like the fact that she's the only one getting the backlash. I mean, she belongs at the bottom of the trash can at this point, but he also was involved in this because he knew he was married too and had a child and still ran around with her. He probably was in bars running his mouth about how he was running around with this foreigner and probably was just as happy as he could be. Meanwhile, was coming home to his wife and child like nothing was wrong. And she didn't have any self-respect for herself either, because there's nothing cute about being the other woman. I know it's hard out here for a lot of foreigners who live in Japan, who want to date and want to have relationships, and there are many Japanese people that are not, they're just not into it. It's not that they don't find you attractive, it's just that there is a type of fear that they have, and also like with language and them feeling like, you know, maybe might not be sexually compatible and all, you know, all this other stuff too. Like they think about all that. There's like a power dynamic there too. It's a whole lot going into like the whole, you know, foreigner dating Japanese people, and you know how it's seen and how they see each other and how society sees them. Ugh, you know, it's just like my head hurts just even thinking about all of that. However, it doesn't mean you need to go out and take someone else's husband. It doesn't mean that, you know, the husband should be stepping out on his wife just because he wants to be with a foreigner. You know, I think that both of them should get backlash. And what bothers me is that I can turn on the TV now and look at Japanese TV, and there are entertainers that have cheated on their wives, and they, after a few months, you know, it's like outraged, then they're back to having their normal career, and it's just okay again. This man would not be doing surgery on my brain. He would not be touching me. He would be nowhere near me. He belongs over there in the trash can with her. I have no remorse for her whatsoever. This whole situation is just leading to a bigger conversation of, there are some spaces that you might feel like that you deserve to be in just simply because you're used to being in a certain position of power and people telling you, oh, you're beautiful, or you look like this, or oh, you should be in there, and you feel like, well, yeah, I should be, but you really shouldn't be. There are some places that where foreigners, if you live in Japan and you were actually born and raised in Japan, then in the culture you are inserted into the culture and you have a right to be in Japan, but it doesn't mean that you have a right to be in every single space that Japanese people have built for themselves and they used to uplift themselves, because we still live in a very white dominated world, if you know what I mean. And sometimes there are people that are the minority that need these spaces, and as someone that is a part of that group of people that is in that power dynamic, I think that it's always a joyful thing for you to just kind of observe and watch. You don't always need to be a part. If I had been close to this woman, this ex-Miss Japan woman, I don't even want to say her name, I would have told her that it would have been very tone deaf for her to be in the pageant. You know, like it's just tone deaf. It wasn't meant for her to be in. She should have went along still being a model and doing whatever else. There are so many opportunities. She could have had herself an actual legit boyfriend and been living happily right now. Instead, she chose the dirty route, and look what happened. And I don't feel sorry at all. I feel bad for the people that were duped and tricked. I feel bad for the contestants that were in that pageant who had a very good chance of winning until she came and blocked it for them. And it was really rigged. She knew she was gonna win that. You can't tell me that she didn't know. She knew that she was gonna win. And it's sad. It's just a sad situation. And I'm not talking about in those other instances where there's like, you know, a bar where they're saying like foreigners can't go in. But even now, thinking about it, I can kind of, like, you know, there's also bars that cater more toward foreigners, that foreigners can go in. There are bars where foreigners and Japanese people can go in as well. And, you know, sometimes Japanese people probably like, we just want to be with each other. And, you know, the younger me would have felt kind of upset hearing that. But now that I'm older, I understand it. I understand it. I understand sometimes wanting a place, especially since this is a homogeneous society. And I think that we should realize, you know, that we are guests, we are foreigners, and that we can enjoy the culture, but there are just going to be some instances and some aspects where we will never be fully Japanese, and that's okay, because, you know, we have the whole world. We can still be in Japan and still have friends, still enjoy the culture, still love it, and Japanese people, for the most part, will be nice to you. And Japan is becoming more progressive, and I think that was one of the things that she also took advantage of, was that Japan is trying to become more progressive. But I don't think that this was the way to do it, especially when we have the past where there were actually half black, half Japanese contestants that faced major backlash, and they were actually of Japanese descent. So you guys, this is a lot to think about. Follow my social media, mostly my Instagram. Also for blog News Asian Pop Culture, the link is always down in the description box below. And remember, be real, stay real, live in the real, and I will always be back. Thank you guys for watching. Put below how you feel about this whole topic. It's kind of a layered topic, but I would love to read your comments and your opinions. I'll see you in the next video.